Welcome back, rum fans. My name's Steve the Barman, and I'm just here to help you on your rum journey by mainly focusing, tasting, reviewing rums under £50 in the UK. And today, I thought I would do Ron Santiago De Cuba because it's been behind the bar for a flipping long time, and I haven't actually given it that much love in videos. And I think it's destined to become a big player in the UK over the next year, 2 years or so, which I'll explain why in a second. But some of you loyal fans will have heard this sort of story loosely before, but I'll kind of share it. So we're going to be diving into a tasting, reviewing my thoughts, what it tastes like. I've got the mixer and the cocktail test coming up just before the end of the video, before I do the summing up. I'm going to be, as always, I'm going to be using the Rum X app framework to kind of be doing the tasting and the scores, giving it all that sort of stuff to kind of help you. But I'll also tell you what other people think of this rum as well, to give you kind of like an all-round perspective, if you like, instead of just sort of me saying, yeah, that's good, or yeah, that's not terrible, whatever, just to give you an all-round opinion. So, Ron Santiago De Cuba. Now, this rum has been on my radar for a very long time. It used to be a very good friend of mine that imported this, and I have still got a bottle of the old label here. This is actually the 11-year-old, which is a belter in its own right. I've just kind of got to get a new bottle to get the new branding, if you like that. So, as I say, it's been on my radars for a long time. Bless him, John. Hello, John. So John used to import that. He only lives down the road from me, actually, but used to import that into the UK. But in, I forget when it was now, I've lost track of time, maybe probably 2020, maybe 2019, maybe 2020, Diageo, who in the UK own Gordon's, Smirnoff, Captain Morgan's, Bell's, what else have we got? Bailey's, Guinness, all that sort of love. Diageo have invested or taken out shares or part own, whatever they've done, in Ron Santiago De Cuba rum. Now, why have they done that? This is the story that might be sort of familiar to a few of you. Essentially, Diageo's big major competitor in the world market is a company called Pernod Ricard. And Pernod Ricard, as well as they have, I forget their other brands now, but their big brand is obviously Havana. I used to know Havana, Pernod Ricard's brands. Like I've worked with Absolute, Beefeater. There we go. That's their other ones. So Pernod Ricard have Absolute, Diageo have Smirnoff, Beefeater gin is Havana's, Gordon's gin is Diageo. There we go. But Havana, Pernod Ricard have had Havana rums and distributed them worldwide since the year dot, and Diageo have never really had a competitor. Now, the big point to that is Havana Club you will find in most supermarkets in the UK. It doesn't matter what chain of supermarkets you go to, you will get Havana. There's no, you just will. It's that major deal. And as I say, Diageo have just not had a player in that market. Yes, this is the thing I could never fathom. Diageo do actually distribute Pampero. So the Pampero Blanco, the Pampero Añejo, the Aniversario, but they've never really gone front and centre with the brand. And I don't know why. I don't know whether they've just not had faith in the brand, whether the actual brand themselves, Pampero, have just not been willing to invest the money to do that. I don't know why. But Diageo, obviously, now that rum is coming, now that rum is going to be a big global trend that is coming, Diageo kind of need a player. They need a heavyweight player to go head to head with Havana. Hence them investing or part owning or whatever they've done with Ron Santiago De Cuba. So you can expect to see this. If you don't already, you can expect definitely the 8-year-old, definitely the 3-year-old, which the bottle kind of smashed at a hen party at the weekend, so I've got no more of that, but it's the white label. So you definitely see those two in most supermarkets through the rest of 2022, 2023, definitely. Now, that is why is that important? And we're purely talking on price here. Let's go for prices for a minute. I'll do the comparison at the end just to give you a rough idea. But if you go to Master of Malt, the 8 will set you back £27.74. So slightly expensive for what I would personally want to pay. However, here's the thing. Tesco's, my supermarket of choice, is where I go to. We've got a big one near me. Tesco's, and I spotted this morning actually, £24. But if you've got a club card, £20. £20, and that even £24 would be roughly the price I would expect to pay, but £20 for this is potentially a great bargain. So that's the price point it's coming in. What else have I got to tell you? Now, the dosage with Cuban rums, I've never really got my head around the dosage, and I can't really find too much on the old Winterwebs. I need to speak to a rum guru to kind of educate me in this, because I can't really find the actual clarification on this. As far as my knowledge goes, not many Cuban rums are sweetened. I think they are allowed. I've heard conflicting stories of this. I think they are allowed to. I've heard one story that says they're allowed up to 6 grams of sugar. And I've heard another story telling me they're allowed up to 20 grams of sugar as per EU market as well. Now, the one point to note here is the one thing I definitely do know for 100%, 99% sure, is that they are allowed no additives at all. Nothing can be added to this apart from sugar. So that, and obviously, I think E150A is allowed as colouring, I think. But, you know, as far as additives and natural flavourings and all that malarkey, I don't think they're allowed by law. But what the dosage is allowed to be, I don't know. Now, the conflicting story to that, because I always thought it was 6 grams of sugar, I thought it was minimal. However, it's quite a well-known fact that Havana Especial is actually a little bit sweeter. I think it's got roughly 15, 16 grams of sugar in it. So I don't know. I need to get my head around the dosage in this. But from my experience, Cuban rums aren't that sweet, if at all, if any sweetness has been added. So you can expect with most Cuban rums, especially the Havana 7-year-old, the other one that I'm going to compare at the end is the Ron Cube. You can expect minimal to zero sugar added with them, because it's not really something they do in these sort of rums. These are sipping rums. So that's really all I've got to tell you. So let's dive into sort of the tasting. As always with RumX, we open up the app, we dive into what the colour is. So the colour, I've called this mahogany. That's kind of that gives us the chart on RumX. So we've got mahogany. Now, on the old nostril test, what can I smell? Now, this is kind of an interesting one. I looked back. I've already tasted this a few months ago, and I looked back, and there's a couple of things I got the same, but then a couple of things I had to add in. So my old notes, I had honey, oak, caramel, and orange. They were the sort of 4 main things I got off that. However, nosing this again and tasting it again, the other 2 things I need to add in are definitely chocolate and definitely coffee. I get that quite a lot now. It was actually the chocolate and the coffee that came out first for me, and I don't think I would have got that the first time round, because I didn't enter it in. So I haven't looked at the date I actually did it, but in those at least 3 months that I've done this, my kind of nostrils are picking up certain different things. Again, that might be air that's got into the bottle every time I've opened it. I don't know, but there's certain different things coming out to play here. So honey, oak, caramel, orange, and coffee. So how did I rate this scores wise on the nose? As always, I added the sweetness, the nose and the sweetness, because I like to sort of gauge how sweet I think it's going to be. I've given this a 2 out of 5. Fruit, I've given 2 out of 5. Floral, 1 out of 5. Spices, 1 out of 5. Woody, oaky notes, 2 out of 5. Roasted, 1 out of 5. And rounded, 2 out of 5. So basically what I'm saying, it's equal fruitiness to woodiness. There isn't much floral notes going on there at all. And I think it's, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's quite a rounded rum. There's nothing really kind of punching out in any one direction for me. But it does smells like a really nice sipping rum. And I'm going to do it this way round now to give you what other people, normally I do this at the end, but what other people have gauged from the nose. Caramel, orange, dried fruit, vanilla, honey, oak, coffee and chocolate. Okay, that's what other people have picked up here. And this has been reviewed. I will say it's only been reviewed 5 times, because obviously this is a newer rum and they've changed the labels. So this specific one has only been reviewed 5 times, all right? So there's not a massive broad spectrum, but caramel, I certainly didn't pick up on that. Oh, yes, I did. Sorry. Of course I did. Honey, oak, caramel, orange, chocolate and coffee. So vanilla I didn't get. What was the other one? Dried fruit. That was the other one I didn't get. Right, let's get on to the old tasting. Now, the taste on this does really take you on a journey. And again, looking back at my original tasting notes, again, there was a couple of things I had to change. Because you take the first sip and you get that sort of really peppery spice bite to it. But then it does open out in the second sip, it does open out into fruit. It's kind of like your palate needs to acclimatise to the rum. So, what can I taste? Oak, burnt sugar, peppery, and honey. But then the two I've added in this time round, again, was bitter orange. I get a lovely, it's like, it does remind me of orange bitters. It does literally remind me of those orange bitters. It's a bitter orange and coffee. I don't get chocolate, but I do get coffee. Coffee is sort of more on the finish, but it is a kind of there. So, and what did I do the finish at the same time? The finish lengthens out. It's quite, what did I put? It's quite, I've put medium. I'm actually tempted to go sort of medium long now for the finish, but peppery, bitter orange and oak is kind of how it finishes for me. So scores for the taste, I've given it 2 out of 5 for sweetness. I don't think it's that sweet at all. In fact, I would probably want to go 1.5. 1, I think, is a bit of an underestimate, but I'd kind of want to go 1.5 if I could do that on a Rum X. So 2 out of 5 I've had to give it of sweetness. Fruit, 2. Floral, 1. Spices, 1. Woody oaky notes, 2. Roasted, 1. And rounded, 2. So the only fruit I really do get is that bitter orange. I don't really get any kind of dried fruits or tropical fruits or anything like that. It is that kind of citrusy orange kind of bite that I get. So let me tell you what other people have tasted on here. And I'll be honest, it's not too dissimilar. Honey, which I kind of got as well. Bitter orange, and it's not just me that's put that. 2 other people have put that. Bitter orange, caramel, vanilla, oak, burnt sugar, peppery, and coffee. So we're pretty much on the same wavelength. I'll give you other people's finishes here. Soft, smooth, balanced, concentrated, vanilla, peppery, bitter orange, and oak. So we are all pretty much on the same wavelength for this. I really do kind of like this. Whoa, nearly. I've smashed my my really nice glass version of this. I've smashed it before the weekend. So I need to get another one. I might just get a pack of 6 actually. Quite expensive. It's like 40 odd quid for a pack of 6, but they are really nice. So why have I scored this? I have given this a 75 out of 100, which is kind of good. It's mid-range good. I don't think it's very good. It's certainly not a rum that I would automatically think of to pick up as a sipping rum. So I don't think it's a very good rum in that. It's not forefront in my head. But for the price, we'll get into the summing up. For the price, I think I kind of have to give it a few extra points for the price because it is kind of cheap if you go to like your Tesco's and all that. So before I do get into the summing up of what I think, let's get into the old mixer tests. Now, look, let's be brutally honest. This is the market it is playing in. Coke, ginger ale, Fever Tree spiced orange ginger ale, and ginger beer. It is very much an all-rounder. It's not the best rum and coke, it's not the best rum and ginger beer I've ever had, but for the price point in the supermarkets, this is exactly the market it is aiming at. There is a lot worse rums than this, there is a lot better rums than this, but at Tesco's club card price, that is an absolute phenomenal bargain. It's not one I'd pick out over the other in there. Possibly the normal ginger ale is just slightly lagging behind the other 3 there, but I really did enjoy it as a rum and coke. I did enjoy it as a rum and ginger. If that was my choice, if I was going out for the evening or I was around a friend's house and that was the choice behind the bar, I would be perfectly happy sipping that neat or as a rum and coke, as a rum and ginger. I would be really, really happy with that. So that's those 3. Then we get into the old cocktails, the old cocktail test. So the daiquiri, the rum fashions, and the rum punch. Now, I don't think it's a daiquiri rum. I personally wouldn't have that as a daiquiri. It's just not my kind of thing. Even though it is sort of a column still rum, it's an aged column still, and I don't really do. It's not light enough for me personally in a daiquiri. Loyal viewers, you will know my thoughts on daiquiris. You will know what rums I go for in daiquiris. So for me, it's not a daiquiri rum. The rum fashioned, lovely. Angostura bitters in there, tiny bit of sugar, really does open that out. That is a cracking way to drink that as a rum fashion. That is a really good rum fashioned rum. Again, at that price point, that is an exceptional value for money rum fashioned. And when it comes to the rum punch, so just very quick recap, it's standard sort of formula: 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong, 4 parts weak. Dash your spice to make it nice. The rum, for me, lime, honey and strawberry as the sweeteners, the rum, passion fruit juice and Angostura bitters. Do I think that is any, my standard test is I want the rum, the character to stand out in that. Do I think that's any old rum in there? No. That for me does stand out. It doesn't give like obviously like a dark rum, those kind of vibes, but that is kind of a unique taste in there. The rum does really punch through. So I think that's a great choice. The only real letdown for me is the daiquiri. In all that, you know, and it's not a letdown. I wasn't expecting it. It's kind of a little bit of biasness in my head, to be honest, because I know I don't really like those sort of rums as a daiquiri. So yes, it is a little bit of biasness. I get that. But cracking. So to sum up then, you know, I think it kind of speaks to itself. My final thoughts, the 3 questions I asked myself. Is it value for money? Would I buy it again? And are there any other rums that I would compare to this? So here we go. I've already kind of mentioned them. The 3 rums that are really going to play in this kind of arena for me. And they are Cuban rums. They kind of have to be. I should really just kind of, if I was playing devil's advocate and would just purely go in supermarket rums, I should perhaps, if I can flip and find it, perhaps bring out the Appleton signature in there as well, because they are going to be the 3, and maybe Chairman's Reserve to a certain extent. They are going to be those rums that you're going to be your sort of premium upgrades to your Bacardis, to your whoops, and Bacardi. There we go. Forgot about that. So they, you know, that is going to be your choice. That's where that's playing out. All right. So price point. You know, I'm betting the vast majority would purely go on price alone. For me, I prefer the Bacardi. Actually, that wasn't even in my thinking a minute ago. I prefer the Bacardi 8 over that because it has just got that touch more stone fruit vibes to it now. For me, I kind of really like that sort of stone fruit vibes in there. It's not as woody, oaky as what these two are. But Appleton Signature is going to have a lot of love, and Chairman's is going to have a lot of love. I think potentially the big favourite out there is going to be the Appleton. All right, but that's where it's going to be. That's just playing devil's advocate. But in the actual category it sits in, which is going to be Cuban style, Spanish style of rums, they are the main competitors. And for me, I love the Cubé. The Cubé is just, there's something in the rums that just really sit well with my palate. And I can't really tell you why. It's just this thing. I just sip them and I just love them. Cubé Añejo is my favourite, but it is a little bit more expensive. Where are we? £26.44. Cheaper on Master of Malt, but you'll never get it in supermarkets. So it's slightly cheaper there. But the Bacardi 8-year-old is a lot easier to get. And if you can't be bothered to order online, if you do go to a supermarket, so taking that out of the equation, if you just want like for supermarket rums, I would potentially go to Bacardi 8. But if you want like for like of what you can get online, as nice as that is, me personally, I'm going to Ron Cubé Añejo. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Definitely out of those two, I think the Cubé pips the Havana 7-year-old for me personally. But what do you think?